Morning, good morning, our South African colleagues, brothers and sisters. Very good morning.
Thank you so much for making time to talk to us this morning. Now, without wasting any time, Mr. Deepu, I want you to tell us what exactly is cloud computing to somebody like myself that probably is hearing it for the first time. And why did you choose that route as your speciality?
Okay, great question. So, on the simple terms, right? So, when I say about the cloud, it's just a system where each person can access through internet, right? So, like an example, Google Drive, or your Facebook, or your Instagram. So, everything where you store your data is cloud. So it is in your tip of your fingers, you access Facebook or your drives. So it's basically like for everybody throughout the world, they can access in a simple way. It's just they need is the internet. That's all. So the other terms, I can say is we don't need to maintain our own hardware or computers in our home or in our office to to store these data or access these data across. So we have some clouds, storages or systems where we can easily access these data from across the globe. So that's on the layman terms I can say. So for a simple a person, he can access data from anywhere without spending money on his own computers or own systems. So that's the cloud computing for in simple way it means. Yeah.
I love how you explained it to me like a 5-year-old. Now I fully understand what cloud computing is. Thank you, Mr. Deepu. Now, why did you choose this route as your speciality in IT?
Okay, so to explain that, I just need to go back for a bit, in the olden days, right? So when we started with computers and stuff, so in 2000 and 2000 and those 2003, 2006, those were the years where this computers or the technology, IT technology was emerging out with new innovations and new features and stuff. So we as the students, so we started learning about computers and stuff. That's why it was very new to us, and it was very exciting to us because the complete world was on behind of these computers and stuff, and we were hearing about this innovation. So that's where that passion built up on few of our friends. We started up learning about the computers and stuff, especially the hardware. So we started building up the new computers in our homes, and then that's where that passion came up. So so we drive through it, and then slowly we got into big companies like IBM and other big companies where we started learning about the big infrastructure, IT infrastructures and stuff. So that was the starting phase which we or I started up on learning the computer and the passion build up on on learning this new IT technologies. So on long run it's been for me it's been now 20 years with this IT infrastructure or the cloud computing or all those terms. So back in 2010 and stuff, so where this cloud computing were emerging out. So that's where this cloud, what is the use of cloud, or how we can utilize the cloud resources or the computing resources. That's where we started. And I also got an opportunity working on these technologies starting from those days. So yeah, so there were not much of the competitors on those days. Like we had some AWS and Microsoft guys. So those were we started learning on this cloud computing. So and it is more related to our current work which I was doing. So that's where my passion built up on this infrastructure. Yeah. So yeah, that was the thing.
Sure, very interesting. Now, Mr. Deepu, I want you to take us through the process of building a cloud system from scratch. What are some of the hardwares and softwares that you use?
Okay, so basically, when I say about the cloud, right? So it has main two components. That is, as you said, it's hardware and it's the software components, right? So but without these two, the cloud computing is not finished. So basically hardware, when I say on the IT infrastructure, any IT infrastructure, these components are very important. I can say the switching technologies, those are like switches. The common, switching technologies are Cisco's or, Huawei switching technologies. And then we have some servers. In the layman terms, I can call it the servers or the computing, computing devices, right? That's the other component. And the most important component is the storage component. So these three are three different components, but work together to achieve this goal, right? So these are the three different main components on the hardware side. So apart from this, on the hardware side, right, there are called as networking features. We need to do a complete network between the one infrastructure to the other infrastructure. So that's also an important component on this cloud computing. On top of this, so once we have all this hardware being installed or being deployed onto a certain project, like if I say I'm doing a project, I need this cloud computing. So we build this hardware onto it, and on top of it, we build a cloud software. Okay, so when I say cloud software, it contains the operating system. It has its own operating system, and it manages the complete infrastructure, right? So this software is also very important. So when I say, as an example, I can give you like AWS. It has its own, cloud software. Microsoft, call it Azure, so it has its own cloud software. And on my technology, which I'm working on Huawei, which is currently the big competitor in the world across, with AWS and Microsoft. They have their own cloud software called as HCS, Huawei Cloud Services. So this software goes onto this hardware, and this manages the complete infrastructure. So that's how, we build the cloud environment.
Yeah. No, that is so complicated. I'm trying to listen to it. And how long would this usually take you?
So on the infrastructure side, right, so it usually takes between 2 months to build from the scratch to the top. So and from the software side, it again takes around 60 days more. So to completely hand over this environment to the customers.
Sure, that is.
But yeah, but there are some certain situations or scenarios, right? The timeline. So when customer comes to us and says, I have only this timeline, so can you guys do it? So currently I'm doing a project for one of the telecom, the number one telecom company in South Africa. So for their billing system, it's like the Huawei cloud system which is going in there, right? So we have built this environment I can say in less than the complete environment was building in 60 days. Yes. 60 days it is built, and now I'm going to the next phase of migrating those, their application onto my cloud environment. Yeah. So it depends on the situation and the scenarios, but on the normal situation, it takes at least 2 or 3 months.
That is a lot of time. So I can imagine that you put in a lot of attention to detail during that time.
It's a lot of things goes on. So when I give an explanation, so it takes 5 minutes maybe to explain or 10 minutes. But in terms of putting things together, it takes some time. And there's a lot of things which we also need to do, to get these things done. Yeah.
I hear you. Now, what are some of your roles as a cloud specialist? And I know that you're also a project manager there by Huawei Technologies. What are some of your day-to-day roles in those or responsibilities in that role?
Okay. So, the main responsibility is to understand my customer, right? So what is customer requirement? What is customer pain points in their day-to-day business? So that is my main goal. So how can I help them in getting those issues being resolved, or how can I resolve their the cost issues? Because nowadays the main concern is the OPEX cost or the operational cost which customer do deal with it. because there's lots of operational costs they have to cater for in every year. So we need to look on how we can reduce customers financial part as well as their day-to-day issues on their systems, right? If if there is so there's a example which I gave you sometime before, which I'm building a new cloud environment. So customer had an issue. It was a previous again it was a Huawei cloud system, but the customer had an issue the complete infrastructure was getting end of life. That means there was no more support for that infrastructure, and it was a big risk for the customer because their application, their software are running on that system, and tomorrow if something goes wrong and nobody is there to support, it was a big risk. So we did propose a new solution. That's where we started up with the solution discussions and stuff. So yeah, so that's how we analyze the customer requirements. We speak to customer experts, from the customer side. We understand what their requirement is, how we can help them, how we can make this system easier for them, basically. Yeah.
Interesting. Now, what was your first role or your first cloud storage system deployment in South Africa, and what hardware technologies did you use for it?
Yeah. So that's an interesting question for me because this is where it brings I came to South Africa for this cloud deployment. So in 2017, so I was appointed to deploy a cloud system for one of the South African telecom company, and I had to travel from India and come down here and build this environment from the scratch. So I cannot say which company which we deployed it, but I can say we deployed it for telecom company's billing system, where all the billing for enterprise customers, right? So hospitals or insurance companies or any other big enterprise business. So the billing system runs on over this cloud environment. So I can specifically say it's Huawei cloud environment, right? So every month these bills are generated automatically. So this was my first cloud project in South Africa. So it was a challenging project for me because I had to travel from India to South Africa, and it was a new environment for me, new customer, but it was welcoming for me. So I did enjoy those days working with South African colleagues here. There was a lot of supportive people because I was only the expert from India, but the rest of my team was all my South African colleagues. So those bunch of, I still remember, they were all bunch of fresh graduates. They had a bunch of good knowledges, and it was fun, and at the same time it was the challenging project for me. Yeah.
So you love a good challenge, Mr. Deepu.
That's my day-to-day life, because every day is a new challenge for us. And so that's where we come up, right? So challenges are there, and we need to come up with the good solutions and stuff for the customers or for us. Yeah, that's the thing. So without a challenge, there is no life for me now.
Absolutely. What is the relationship between AI and cloud computing?
Okay, so that's one of the other interesting things, because AI is the now new evolution which has come up from past few years, right? So both of them, work hand to hand, right? Both AI, I can say, is the software part. Cloud computing is the infrastructure part, right? Which supports the AI. In more easier way, I can say the cloud computing, right? It provides the necessary infrastructure or necessary a platform to the AI software, right? So when I say cloud computing, right, other thing which I also wanted to emphasize is cloud computing is the infrastructure plus the software of the cloud, right? And then this complete infrastructure is given to an AI or to an application or to a software project team so that they can deploy the software onto this, right? Or the application onto this. Like AI is also like one of the software which will be deployed onto the cloud computing. So basically, as it says, it's the partnership-driven evolution. for both of them. So cloud computing and AI is a partnership. So both of them go end to end and like very efficient towards to meet the end goal.
Interesting. So they work together. One exists because of the other.
Exactly. So without this thing, so what will happen, still they can work independently, but the results will be not competent enough. Because nowadays, just imagine you just open your Facebook, so you just immediately get all the information there, or you go to the Google, you get information there. So whatever you need, so it happens within seconds, right? Within a click of a second. So it's because it's the cloud computing is the backend device and AI is the software where it is working in the front end, and both work together and gives the results output. Yeah.
Sure. Now, how do you safeguard cloud information, and what are some of the threats that you deal with?
This is one of the common question I get everywhere. So, like whenever I go to speak to a person or to the customer, they say, "How do you how do you save my the data? Because their data is very important. It cannot go out of cannot be given to the any internet, right?" So, see, there are like many precautions or significant futures. It is being deployed. So when we say AI or the cloud computing, a new evolutions and things which is happening across there is also new safeguard features which is coming up also, the security features. I need to put it as the security features, which is also which is also being innovated, right? So some of the main things are like strong access controls or the authentication process, right? So as you guys commonly, if I can put it, when you log into your bank account, so there are multiple authentication steps which everybody has to go through, right? It's same as here. So when somebody logs into a cloud environment, there is multiple authentication process and the permissions and everything is encrypted there. So it's not that somebody can directly log in and get all the information because it is encrypted. So only the person who is authenticated or who has the right, he can see his data. And one more other thing is what we suggest is strongly to take the backup of their data. So what we usually do to our customers, right? So let's take, I put in my, I deploy a cloud environment and their customer applications or the softwares are running on the cloud environment. But how do you safeguard it? So let's take tomorrow there is a virus attack and the complete data is corrupted or being taken out. So that's where we put in the additional precaution where we take the backup of their data. Like same way we take the backup of our phones, we also take the complete backup of their data, so that tomorrow if anything goes wrong, so we can restore this data from these backup things. That's one of the important part as well. But other important things also in the companies is that there is cybersecurity team where they 24/7 they monitor the environment, how to safeguard this environment. Is there any virus attack coming out? So they do that, and the regular patches or the same way when we do a patch upgrade on our phones. So we do patch upgrade. So we do put the software patches onto the servers, onto the softwares, so that no new virus can come in and attack on this or attack our customer environment. So there are multiple teams which work across on the security topologies. So main guys are like cyber security, the authentication teams. So they are watching 24/7. So you are basically the data is safe on the cloud computing. So I can say data is more safer in cloud computing than in the normal environment. Yeah.
Interesting. Now, can I, as an individual and not a business, be able to use cloud services just in general?
Yes. So one of the cloud services, for the business here or the individual, right? if I see for an individual, where we use the Google Drive, that's one of the cloud services which Google offered to any person, right, who has a Google account. So that's where you can store your data, you can buy some of the storage space and store your data. But on to the business, when it comes, it becomes more, bigger, or more infrastructure is required. So that's where, they analyze what infrastructure is needed. Based on that, we can negotiate with the cloud service providers and get the service from them.
I can imagine. Sure, go ahead, sir.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I don't say it is very cheap, but when I compare deploying our own infrastructure, right? If a business owner wants to deploy his own infrastructure, it is very expensive. It goes through a very financial process. It's huge. So when the small businesses, it's good to have go to approach a cloud resource provider and use whatever he wants. It's not that he has to buy everything at a time. Whatever is needed based on its requirement, he can opt it. Yeah.
This is such vital information, Mr. Deepu, that you're sharing with us, especially for people like us who are really lay people when it comes to this industry. Now, how do you keep up with the changes in cloud infrastructure? I can imagine that, it's forever changing. It's always evolving.
Yeah, it's like every day evolving, right? So new things comes up every day. So we have to keep up. So I can say an example, right? I'm just giving an example. So the Huawei cloud infrastructure, right? So we do have our R&D in China HQ, right? So this is our in the world. This is the second largest R&D in the world. First is the Google, and second is us, Huawei has its own R&D in China, and they do develop lot of new evolutions. Whatever new features are coming out in any part of the world. So it will be R&D guys, they do check it, and it's developed in 2 or 3 days, depending on what software, what patches has to be there. So it is the day-to-day activity for us. There are certain teams looking out for what new features can be deployed into the AI. So now it's already we have AI, but what is next in the AI? So there is features coming up on AI itself. So there is very aggressive developments on day-to-day evolution which is happening back in our R&D teams. Yeah.
And what are some of the most challenging programs or projects that you've ever had to work on?
So I can say one of the challenging projects was I worked when I was working in India. I worked for the company, French-based company, right? So where I had to travel to Finland, but that was challenging because I was dealing with the defense of Finland. Right, so how secure the data is in the defense. Any country's defense is most secure data, right? So I had to bring in all the data from their own infrastructure to our infrastructure. So it was a very, very massive project, and I did had a lot of challenges those days when I worked with the defense of Finland. But it was quite interesting because how secured, it goes back to your question, right? How secure your data will be. So that was one of the challenging projects for me, yeah. So we had to move all the complete infrastructure plus the data to our infrastructure and secure it. So it was and we also got awarded best service after 3 years of this migration which was completed, yeah.
And how can you advise a person? Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, that was one of my challenging projects, yeah.
Okay, it sounds very challenging, especially because for you that was also a foreign country.
Yes, so especially because it was a defense data, so yeah.
Yeah.
Challenging, yeah.
Now, how can you advise a person wanting to get into this field, or maybe somebody that's already in the IT space but wants to get into your specific speciality? What are some of the biggest challenges? Some shortcomings, but also what are the good sides of doing what you do in this field?
Okay, see, as a person, to the new generation guys who are want to come into this technology, right? See, for sure, I can say this is a newer technology, and it will be forever, right? So there will be new features or new evolutions coming in. But for the guys who want to do it, they need to have the passion on this, right? It's not in a day or in a month or in a year and 2 or 3 years you will learn everything on this. It will take some time. You need to give your time for this, study, and these technologies are it's not back in days when I was studying out. So every day there are new features, new things coming up. So you need to be frequently looking out for the things. You need to be up to the market. So you need to refresh your knowledge on a day-to-day basis. So that's one challenge. But the other side of this is there's lots of new features which we have. So, for example, I can say the cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is a part of the cloud feature, right? But by its own, it's a different team. It's a different set of team who's working on it. So, the backup, it's also a different set of team. Authentication, it's a different set of team. Hardware, it's a different set of team working. So that means you have lots of opportunities across this field where you can figure it out, right? So it's not only thing is you have to be very passionate about it. Otherwise, this subject will be it's not about making money on this. If you are passionate and you learn things, the money will come to you. And I can strongly say I can see my colleagues or we also do the graduate programs and stuff. We also recruit lots of graduates. There are students they're very passionate. They do day and night. They put their complete effort onto this for learning the things. It's all about learning. So if you're passionate about the the new evolution, new innovations and stuff on the IT infrastructure side, yeah, this is a very good field. I can say it's a very good field.
I see that you're also very passionate about it, Mr. Deepu.
It's this was for me, I say, for us the computers were very new when we started up, right? So it was for us it was something, a toy which we got it newly, and we had to unpack it, learn it. So that's how that passion developed, and we were a bunch of my friends, we together we worked towards this. All of my I can see my friends across. They're all across the world, and they're all into the same field till now, because it was all our passion which driven us till here.
Oh, that is amazing, Mr. Deepu. Thank you so much for such an informative and for sharing such intricate information about what you do, as well as some of your projects, and just getting to know you and your work has been so interesting. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for hosting me, and good luck, man.
Thank you so much. Have a lovely Sunday.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.